submitted to justify the 15 million that were allegedly paid as reward to informers. Now, all the officers from the AFP, that includes General Memphine, the USEC for Administration, are stating that the DepEd did not utilize any of its confidential fund in support of the Youth Leadership Summit. These statements, Mr. Chair, are completely contradictory to what DepEd has made the COA believe in the submission of all these certifications. Mr. Chair, to proceed, let us all be reminded, ito pong confidential fund na ito, pera ng taong bayan. We, all of us, are accountable to the Filipino citizens. Public office is a public trust. We should be accountable to the people at all times. And I do not understand why these people who are supposed to explain the 15 million is totally unaware of the same, because they are saying that they never use the DepEd fund and what they use is the fund of the AFP. While we understand, Mr. Chair, that confidential fund by its nature is not encouraged to be scrutinized, there is nothing under the law that prohibits the same as well. There are important observations, Mr. Chair. Number one, among all civilian agencies, DepEd is one of the very few with confidential fund. Two, DepEd had this confidential fund only in 2023 and never in prior time. Three, I hope we can show also that while the DND, which has a mandate to address the national security, has 37 million confidential fund only, the Department of National Defense has 37 million. The DepEd, which mandate does not include national security, has 150 million confidential fund. Mr. Chair, to continue, while the police, the AFP officers already denied this YLS, having been supported by DepEd, 15.54 million po ang amount that the DepEd is trying to justify in making use of the certifications that were submitted by the AFP. Number 5, Mr. Chair, prior to 2016, pag ang pinag-usapan po natin ay Youth Leadership Summit, it is the AFP who leads and they just coordinate with DepEd. But on the report that was given by COA, it seems to appear that the one leading the Youth Leadership Summit is the DepEd in coordination with AFP. Paligtad po ito. Number 6, Mr. Chair, I do not want to preempt any conclusion. However, Mr. Chair, General Memphine spent 2017 to 2023 of his AFP career in Davao City and Davao region. During this time, the former president is the president and our vice president is the mayor. During those time, Mr. Chair, Davao City, while it is authorized to have and to utilize confidential fund, I believe has one of the highest confidential fund among the LGUs in the entire country. I hope the Secretariat can produce the data. I wish to ask, Mr. Chair, ito bang lahat ng ito ay coincidences? Given this observation, let us all be reminded that the leeway that is being given to confidential fund is to be able to address a very important concern, and that is national security of the country. No more, no less. The procurement and the liquidation were made liberal in recognition of the significance of the purpose of the confidential fund. However, Mr. Chair, if there are glaring indications of irregularity already, as those that we have mentioned, plus the admission of the AFP, is it not that COA should address its mandate of making sure that all receipts and all expenditures are duly accounted for the Filipino people? Question number 1, since when has irregularity in confidential fund been happening? 2, what has COA done so far with respect to its accounting rules in order to address the irregularity? And 3, will COA simply brush aside these irregularities, especially with the admission of the AFP that they were the one who spent for the 15 million Youth Leadership Summit and not the Department of Education? Let us remember, regardless of which office in the government we belong, public trust always carries accountability. To tone down the mood of our investigation at para mas maintindihan po ako ng mga tao, mayroon hong prominent na line sa pelikulang Star Wars. Ang sabi, comes with great power is great responsibility. If you translate this to constitutional language, let us all be reminded, public office is a public trust. The trust that is given to us by the people carries with it due accountability. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Luistro. The Chair,
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
with the indulgence of Congressman Flores, Congressman Acop, the Chair recognizes Congressman Acop.
I would just like to ask some clarificatory questions regarding the interpellation of the Honorable Luistro. May I know who can answer me? Sino ang makakasagot? Kanino bang program itong sinasabi natin na Youth Leadership Summit? Is it a program of the DepEd, the Armed Forces of the Philippines? Kanino? Sino makapagsasabi sa akin?
Major General Bajau.
Bahaw, sir.
Bahaw.
May I be recognized, Mr. Chair?
You are recognized.
Your Honor, it's a Philippine Army-wide program, a 3-day activity po.
It's an activity included in the budget of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Tama?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's one of PPAs insofar as your budget is concerned.
Yes, sir.
So in other words, when you conduct these events, you do not need the help of other agencies or the funding of other agencies.
I would disagree
Sabi ko
to that,
funding.
Your Honor, because we can only spend for our own troops, but the need of other participants and the subject matter experts have to be carried by participating agencies po.
What is the legal basis why the program of the Armed Forces of the Philippines is participated on by other agencies of government? What is the legal basis?
Your Honor, we just operate in the context of the Peace and Order Councils po. Our participation in the POC would also reflect on the participation of other agencies when we conduct this activity, sir.
Oh, direct question na lang, General. Did you receive any funds from the confidential funds of the OVP in the conduct of these events?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
There's no funds coming from. There are no funds coming from the Office of the Vice President.
Yes, sir. No funds
Regarding
coming
this.
from them.
Thank you. May I ask Yusek Memphine,
Yes, sir.
Yusek Mempin, you are recognized.
why would
Yes,
yes, why
Yes,
would
Your Honor.
certifications be addressed to you?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, as I mentioned a while ago, I was asked by the Office of the Secretary to
By
get
the-
report from the
You were asked by the please
Office of the
repeat.
Secretary.
By the
Office of the Secretary.
and who in the office of the secretary asked you that? Hindi naman pwedeng magsalita yung office of the secretary, di po ba? So
It's a-
there must be somebody from the office of the secretary who asked you to do that.
It's
And may I know who that is?
it's our former Chief of Staff.
And who might that be? And who might that be?
Former USEC Attorney Mike Poe po, sir. Your Honor.
Yusek Poa, would you agree to the answer of the Yusek Mempin?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Congressman Acop, yes, I confirm that.
That you asked him to ask for the certifications from the different unit commanders of the Philippine Army?
If I may explain, Your Honor, the
Hindi,
answer is
sagutin
yes.
mo muna yung tanong ko bago ka mag-explain.
Yes
Di ba?
po. Yes po.
So, tama yung sagot sa akin ni Yusek Memphin.
Yes po.
Na kayo po ang humingi sa kanya na humingi siya ng certification doon sa mga units ng Philippine Army na nag-conduct ng YLS.
Your Honor, if I may qualify, hindi po specifically on YLS. What I asked for was for any accomplishment. Kasi po yung ayon doon sa AOM na natanggap namin, pag nagbigay daw po ng rewards, you needed evidence of success of the information you received from the rewards. I mean, you received through the giving out of rewards. So because of this, I coordinated with Yusek Mempin to to provide any proof of accomplishment para po doon sa rewards na na-disburse ng confidential funds.
Thank you. And may I ask, you have been in the Army, Yusek Memphin, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Ano po ang part ng programang YLS na may kasamang rewards? Could you please tell me which part of that program would require the giving or the awarding of rewards? Which part of the program would require the gathering of information? Kasi yun po yung purpose ng confidential fund ng DepEd. 4 po yun. Now, which part of this?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, for the conduct of YLF per se, there's no in that particular any areas of that for the
Yes.
rewards, giving of rewards, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Basahin ko man ng ilang beses yung programa na yon, walang nagsasabi doon na pwedeng gamitin yung confidential fund ng isang agency. Would you agree with me?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Yes. So, Yusek po, mali po yun. Kasi kitang-kita naman na natin that you ask for these documents to support your liquidation in so far as the confidential fund of the Department of Education is concerned. Kasi hindi naman kaya basically primordial na kasama doon po sa mga events na yun And yet, you are submitting or you submitted to COA documents to support your liquidation of the confidential fund of the Department of Education. Wala Kahit na anong basa ko. Kasi, for your information, Yusek Powa, naging controller ako ng pulis kaya alam ko kung ano ang sinasabi nitong mga membro ng Philippine Army ngayon Alam ko rin na ginagamit nyo lang yun para i-justify yung expenditure nyo ng confidential fund ng Department of Education. Di ba? You just use that to justify your liquidation of the fund. Hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
If I may also just, if Your Honor would allow me, Mr. Chair.
Sir Michael Powa, you're recognized.
Basically, just to expound and just so I can inform the committee factually what happened. We received an AOM back in February asking for certain documents, one of which are the DEPs, which are the document evidence of payments. Another one would be for the, pag may rewards daw, kailangan daw po merong evidence of success. Because I am not aware on how the confidential funds are operationalized, I went to Yusek Mempin, who is our former security consultant, to ask if there would be any document that we would be able to show the COA na meron namang success, on the premise that whatever activity was conducted on the ground by the military was targeted because of information received from DepEd due to those rewards given out. Yun po yung pinanggagalingan ko. And when I received the certifications, I submitted them as such in response lang po to the AOM.
Mr. Chair, just a clarification. No?
Yes, Congressman Abante, you're
I
recognized.
heard him mention that he is not aware of the nature of the confidential fund. Is that right?
Not the nature, if I may clarify, Mr. Chair, not the nature. I understand the nature of confidential funds, but on how it is actually operationalized or used on the ground, under oath, I would like to state for the record that I'm really not aware. Hindi ko po nakita yung fund, hindi ko po alam kung paano siya ino-operationalize on the ground. Ang participation ko po ay naganap nung ako po ay OIC for finance kasi at that time, nung na-receive namin yung AOM. And we had to respond to the AOM. And so because we had to respond to the AOM, I had to get all the documentation that COA was asking for po through that AOM.
So ibig sabihin po, hinihingi nyo lamang po itong mga documentation na to para lang ma-justify kung paano ginamit. Pero in actual, hindi talaga doon ginamit. Tama po ba? Parang ganun ang pagkakaintindi ko eh. Parang hinihingi nyo lang po yung certification nung nilabasan na kayo ng AOM.
Tama po.
Tama po?
Tama po. Nung lumabas po yung AOM,
Saka kayo humihingi nito.
kailangan daw po ng evidence of success.
Yes. So kahit na hindi doon
naghanap po
ginamit, gumawa kayo ng mga documentation na parang doon ginamit. Parang ganun. Kung tama po yung pagkakaintindi ko.
Hindi naman po, Mr.
Kasi
Chair,
lumalabas po, hindi naman po doon ginamit yung confidential fund. Pero itong documentation na in-issue po nila Yusek Mempin, yun ang sinabit natin sa COA just to justify yung AOM.
Mr. Chair, again, this is just under my impression nung nakuha ko yung certification na po. The certification po kasi, when I read it, stated that they conducted yung mga YLS based on the information received from LGUs, DepEd, etc. So ang impression ko po, and again, this is just my impression, is that because of the information they received from DepEd, sinagawa nila, targeted kung saang areas yung YLS. Again, that is just my interpretation of the certification, Your Honor. And now, whether or not that is indeed the case, I really do not have personal knowledge to
Yes, but you have
confirm.
no idea if the fund coming from confidential fund was utilized from LYS. Wala po kayo idea.
I cannot confirm or deny that, Your
tama
Honor.
po. Yes, the chair would like to recognize. Yes, please continue, Congressman Acop.
Thank you. So, Yusek Mempin, wala pong ibinaba na pondo sa Armed Forces of the Philippines or sa Philippine Army units. Wala.
As para sa akin, sir, wala po daw po, sir.
Yung mga units ng Philippine Army, which conducted the summits, wala rin po kayong pondong natanggap galing sa DepEd. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
That's correct. Now, may I ask, bakit kayo nag-issue ng certification? Hindi. That's not you kasi hindi naman ikaw nag-certify eh. Why did you issue certification?
Sino pong sasagot?
Mr. Chair,
Colonel
Colonel
Boransing,
Yes.
you are recognized.
Mr. Chair, sir, as I earlier mentioned, sir, because almost all of our activities on the ground are multi-stakeholder. When we appear in activities of one or many agencies ask for certifications of attendance, as I have asked the Secretariat to issue us with a certificate of attendance that we attended this activity. We assume that that certification was also for for that purpose. So a lot of other national government agencies and local government units ask for certifications in that manner also.
So you're trying to tell us that it was USEC Memphis which required the submission of those certifications. Siya po ba ang nag-require sa inyo?
Yes, he asked, Mr. Chair. Yes, sir.
Was it through a written document or what?
He called our commander, sir.
Ganun na po ba ngayon sa Armed Forces of the Philippines?
Well, sir, the other agencies also, like for instance, the Department of the regional offices of the Department of Agriculture, TESDA, they also text me during our activities. So I think it's an accepted mode of unofficial communication, sir.
For your information, yun pong purpose ng confidential fund ng DepEd in its accomplishment report ay 4 po. For your information. Number 1, counterinsurgency programs. Number 2 is abuse prevention and control within schools. Number 3, anti-illegal activities operations. And anti-extremism and terrorism programs. Di po ba? Nowhere could I find dito po sa accomplishment report na sinabmit ng Office of the Department of Education, would I see na yung activity ng Armed Forces of the Philippines is enumerated. Wala eh. Wala akong makita. And yet, yung mga ginawa niyong activities, eh nandun na yun, dun sa, sa liquidation ng contingency fund ng DepEd. Bakit ganun? Yusek Mempin, did you not ask why? When you were asked to get certifications or to secure certifications from those units of the Armed Forces of the Philippines which conducted the YLS, hindi mo tinanong bakit?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, as former USEC po mentioned, I was also informed that the Office of the Secretary needs some impact or outcome of the efforts of the Department of Education in terms of protecting the youth, including the out-of-school youth and some IPs. So I was not aware of that is the purely justification for the confidential fund. So I coordinated with the Philippine Army commanders, my former colleagues, to give feedback or in terms of certification that they have conducted YLS in coordination with various stakeholders to include Department of Education. So yun po yung parang pinaka-basis ng coordination ko po sa mga Philippine Army units na nandito po ngayon.
Kasi maski sa certification, USEC, wala rin akong nakitang na amount na nakalagay doon sa mga certifications ng mga unit commanders ng Philippine Army. Wala. So, may ibang purpose lang yung pagkuha nyo ng certification na yun. And as I've said, it is used to justify yung expenditure ng or pag-spend ng confidential fund ng Department of Education. Now, COA, would it be true na nagbigay po kayo ng CN o credit notice doon sa first 2 quarters ng use ng confidential fund ng DepEd?
Attorney Camora, you're recognized.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
May I know the basis why nagbigay po kayo ng credit notice? Kasi what I know is if you give credit notice, everything is proper.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now, bakit po kayo nagbigay ng credit notice doon sa first 2 quarters?
Since nag-submit po sila ng documents that we required in the AOM, we deem them okay na po for the compliance.
Parang sa joint circular din,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Actually, yun nga po, yung certifications is
And-
one of the requirements po.
When I say
mean-
parang sa joint circular, you do not do anything to find out whether the data or the certifications given you would be reasonable or true. Hindi nyo tinitignan, di ba?
Mr. Chair, since dun sa certifications, nilagay po nila na due to the collaboration between the DepEd and the Philippine Army, wala pong mga batang recruited. Okay na po yun sa amin.
Okay na sa inyo. Pursuant to your, shall we say, circulars.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ganon.
Yes,
Ganon po
Mr.
yan.
Chair.
Paano nga natin mababantayan yung kwan? Kung pag ganyan ang inyong pag-iisip. Di po ba? Now, Mr. Chair, please allow me to come up with my parochial concern. Because I heard a while ago that USEC Densing was in charge of the allocation of the BEFF or Basic Educational Facilities. Tama po ba?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yusek Densing, you're
That's correct, sir.
recognized.
Correct. Pwede ko bang malaman bakit walang napunta sa Antipolo na school building
Sir,
during your term or the term of VP Sara?
ang nahawakan ko po actually is 24.
Hindi, tinatanong ko.
Opo.
Sagutin
Pero-
mo muna ako.
Pero sir, ang sa Antipolo kasi, Antipolo, Taytay, tinanong ko rin kasi yan dun sa technical working group, wala na pong buildable space. Yung pang binanggit sa akin.
Walang buildable space.
Opo.
There's a fund with the DepEd na pambili ng spaces. Di po ba?
Wala po. Yun po ang nilabi namin nung nakaraang
That is
budget.
for GA 2022?
24 po, 24.
Hindi, tinatanong ko nga eh.
Sa 22 po, wala.
Congressman ako noong 2022.
Opo.
My
I-
wife was a congresswoman
I wasn't there yet, but
since
there was no fund, sir.
2019.
I was not there
Pero
yet.
wala kaming natatanggap.
Opo.
Your records will bear me out.
Opo. I
As a matter of
recognize.
fact, the first time, 2022, nag-usap po tayo. Kasi kinausap po ninyo yung mga kwan eh, yung mga members ng parties. Di po ba? And we talk. Sinabi ko yung concern ko na yun.
Opo. We did. In fact, nung ginawa nga nila, may mga districts nga, legislative districts na wala.
Now, may I ask you, Yusek Densing, is that following the mandate of the Constitution that you are supposed to equitably distribute government resources?
That's the part of the criteria that I mentioned to the National Technical
Yeah.
Working Group.
Tinatanong nga kita eh.
Opo.
When you do not allocate school buildings doon sa isang lugar, is that equitable distribution?
Again, sir, the problem was there are no buildable spaces in the area.
Sino po ang nagsabi?
Yung National Technical Working Group po.
Itong 2024, humingi ako.
Opo.
2024, humingi ako. There are buildable spaces, pero wala pa rin. And you cannot explain that to me.
Well, sir, I could not answer because the fund was really small at the time. Originally at 9.7 NEP.
So what you're trying to tell me, Yusek, is that hindi po priority doon yung distrito ko po.
No, sir. Priority po inyo dahil mataas po ang shortage sa Antipolo.
Kasi meron pa kami 3 shifts eh.
Opo. Kaya po, priority kayo, Taytay.
Pero wala pa rin kami. Kung priority kami sa mata ninyo, bakit hindi kami nabibigyan? O
Yun
baka
ba?
tama yung sinasabi ni Johnny Pimentel.
Hindi po tama yan. Hindi po tama yan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Chair would like to recognize the Honorable Jonathan Kate Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yusek Mempin.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chair.
Sir, is there any other person, is there any other Yusek who has been given the same designation to oversee the wireless programs? O ikaw lang, from DepEd?
Actually, I was not the one in charge of the wireless. I was just tasked to coordinate with the Philippine Army with regards to the report of their conduct of wireless. But in Department of Education, the Operation Strand is the one who has the mandate of under po sa kanya yung program ng wireless, but hindi po sa administration.
So are you saying na as far as these certifications are concerned, ang only parang role mo or designation mo was to collect them?
Yes po. Yung